Hey, what's good? It's Woog. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. A legend versus the son of a legend. Most aren't giving Chavez a shot in this one, but I'll take you through one very possible scenario. We know that Chavez is the bigger fighter. He's going down an entire 1.5 weight classes, and even at that agreed upon fight weight that Chavez has to shrink to make is still 4 pounds heavier than anywhere Canelo's had to fight. And even at that highest weight class that Canelo competed in was against an opponent who was smaller than a natural middleweight. We also know that Canelo is one of the most gifted fighters, with among the most explosive arsenals in the sport, and has already beaten several very good and a couple great fighters. And there really is no comparison when comparing the success in these two fighters' careers. Canelo's also one of the top blockbuster attractions in the sport, and Chavez, many feel, has underachieved and is already well past his prime. But what keeps this from turning into a reoccurrence of Margarito versus Cotto, where the bigger but less skilled fighter is able to weather the early onslaught, taking shots in the first 3 to 4 rounds, but is strong enough to absorb them without his legs buckling or seriously weakening, and continues to walk the more skilled but smaller fighter down, as Cotto, or in this case Canelo, continues to tee off against his opponent and continues to exercise the faster hands. During those short moments of Canelo showing less offensive activity, is taking deeper breaths, and is feeling some arm fatigue, Chavez is then able to take another 1 or 2 steps, advancing closer to Canelo, digging to both the body and the head, and then forces Canelo to tie up. And keep in mind, you have several different types of punchers. You have sharp and crisp punchers. You have fast-handed punchers who could throw an overhand right like a whip punchers. You have push punchers who look like they're shooting their punches. And then you have heavy-handed clubbing punchers. It takes off slower, but if you're there when it gets there, you'll be sorry you were punchers. And those are the George Foreman, Margarito, and yes, Chavez Jr. punchers. And as I said, he's far bigger than anyone Canelo's had to fight, by 8 to 10 pounds at least. If Canelo doesn't hit that boy hard enough to get his attention, and often enough to keep his attention, this could be a very long night for Canelo. If he finds himself trying to step on the gas in the 6th, 7th, or 8th round to catch that second wind, and there's nothing left in the tank. Feeling emboldened, Chavez could then close the distance, now with less resistance, depending on whether a tired Canelo could keep the jab going, and then Chavez could land the big shots to Canelo's body and head, with harder punches than Canelo's ever had to take, and harder than any punch that Canelo's able to deliver back. And even when he misses, he's still catching arm and biceps and gloves and shoulders, beating on Canelo's body, whose legs would then weaken, and will spend less time in the center of the ring where he needs to keep this, and more time against the ropes where he desperately needs to avoid being. If we get there, this fight's over. Now, there are 3 things that prevent this from being an even stronger likelihood. 1, the likelihood that Chavez enters the fight looking like he's walking in mud and punching through a swimming pool. Can he make weight comfortably? He hasn't had to weigh this little in 5 years, and that type of bodily behavior only becomes more difficult to do with age. And there's several examples of when fighters have performed lethargically due to too much weight cutting. It can exhaust the body. 2, there's also the possibility that Chavez is a shot fighter with diminished coordination, reflex, and explosion due to normal boxing brain injury. Does he still have that excellent chin, like that of his legendary father, that can absorb punches without everything crumbling beneath it? And finally, is Chavez truly dedicated to the mission? Is his head in the game? Does he have the discipline to prepare the body and mind for this opportunity? His trainer Nacho Beristain has expressed concern over Chavez's mind state, and his former trainer, Freddie Roach, stopped working with him because of Chavez's lack of commitment. So those major concerns aside, Canelo is seemingly avoiding a super fight with Gennady Triple G Golovkin because he's too big, strong, and hits too hard. So now he's about to fight someone bigger than that, who, although again is less skilled, also has immense power in his gloves. Plus, you couldn't ask for a bigger motivator than having the chance to defeat the great Canelo Alvarez. Vegas suggested Chavez is a long shot. I think he's got a strong shot. So let me know your thoughts. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.